Hi guys, hope you're well. Pretty major development in British politics. We're heading towards having daily televised briefings. Christopher Hope of the Telegraph giving some more detail last night that the job spec was going to come up. I've just seen it's gone out now. And what this basically is, it's moving away from a system of closed door, selected journalist questions to something much more transparent and open, similar to the US style, where you're going to have someone there day to day answering questions from the press. Now, this is a big departure, and I think it's quite a positive thing, because what it means is that you, the public, will get to make your own mind up about the questions being asked, the conduct of the media, and of course the responses from that individual. But it can go one or two ways, this. It could either become a big negative, or it could play to the government's advantage. It's all going to come down to how this ultimately is executed by the individual. Now, let's look at the context of where we are. We've seen, there is some precedent because we've seen these coronavirus briefings that we've had. Very interesting that YouGov recently, when they asked people, do you trust the media in your country on coronavirus, the UK, only 31% of Brits said yes. The second lowest out of 26 markets. So to give some context, I don't think the media have covered themselves in glory when it comes to them briefings. I think, and people have said it to me time and time again, they felt like there was just cheap shots thrown in there, people trying to get that little social media moment that they can go and post and boast about, rather than actually answering the sort of practical questions that the public wanted answered. And of course we actually saw the public in the end brought in for some questions before the journos. So I think you've got to bear that in mind, the context of where we are. The media in this country, media trust, has plummeted. You won't hear it reported much, of course, but that's a fact. I mean, as I say, YouGov, second lowest out of 26 markets. So it's going to come down to the individual. As the spec for the job says, you will represent the government and the Prime Minister to an audience of millions on a daily basis. I mean, guys, this is going to be big. As I said, for many people, this will probably be the person who's going to represent the government day to day and be the face of the government. So what have they got to do? They've got to get on the front foot. This can go one of two ways. As we've seen with Trump in America, there are going to be a sizable contingent of journalists at these meetings who are going to just constantly be trying to trip the government up, will just be throwing barbs in there, will try and get their little moment that they can go and post and boast about. And I think what this needs is someone that's actually quite aggressive in their pushback, quite assertive, and certainly isn't just going to play a roll up in a defensive position because I think that looks pretty feeble. And I think you've got to expect this now to be quite fiery, frankly. I think there's going to be a lot, as I say, a lot of people trying to make the name for themselves in these briefings, knowing that they're going to get big audiences. They're going to be trying to trip up the government, and it's going to require someone, of course, who is well briefed, but also recognises that this is going to be a battlefield. And I think too often, especially on the right and some conservatives, they play too much of a defensive game and not enough of an offensive game. And as I say, bear in mind, media trust is low. I think the conduct in those coronavirus briefings at times has been appalling. And it's going to, this is going to be really interesting now to see if the government is simply going to put someone out there who is just going to sort of bow their head and get kicked around a bit, or if they're going to have someone that goes out there, well briefed, ready to get on the front foot, and ready to point out that they're acting for a government with a big mandate from the people, and actually not be drawn in, as some are sometimes, into the Westminster style of thinking, as if that bubble was representative of public opinion, when we see time and time again it isn't. I think on the media side, they need to look at some of these polls. There was another one by the Reuters Institute that showed media trust is falling. And maybe perhaps they need to reflect, are they going to treat this as a jamboree, just to pile in and trying to make the point almost as political activists? And I guarantee you will see some do that. Or are they going to try and bring back up the reputation of some of the media by actually asking pertinent questions in touch with public opinion? It's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be a battlefield, and whoever this individual is, they really, I think, need to get on the front foot and see this as an opportunity to press forward what the government are doing and why they're doing it, and not just simply roll over and get steamrolled. Going to be interesting to see.